You need stories.
And
the people who are growing up in Afghanistan don't have any national unity. The story that they're told, like the kids growing up, is the Americans invaded and took over, and now we live under their rule.
Yeah.
What great story! So when I'm a kid and I'm growing up, I see that photo of Iwo Jima and they're raising the flag, and never forget, and all of these things. These things meant to inspire and tell kids that's what you want to be like. That's what you aspire to be. What do they have in Afghanistan if you're growing up and you're like, we were conquered?
Right.
People in the street are celebrating with the Taliban.
Well, they didn't. That's not the story they told them. What they told them was that empires, Alexander the Great, the Russians, the Americans, they all come here and they all lose. Son, we're just waiting them out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't want to use this cliche because it's so cliched and everybody uses it, but they're like, son, they got watches, we got time.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And that's the thing. If you're going to colonize
got mountains.
a desert mountain, then you need to import food, and that's going to cost you trillions and trillions of dollars. You need to import water. That's another trillion.
Right, but
for 80 years, you got to fund that thing. It's going to be an 80-year project.
For 3 centuries, if you want that to happen.
Yeah.
The fundamental error here is that we, in our progressive era politics and foreign policy and modernity and all these things, that we think we can change everyone around the world. If they could just listen to us and learn our ways, they will improve and change and whatever. And our arrogance led us to believe that not only were we going to just go to like a country that was like a step below us and just kind of bring them up to where we were. No, we were going to go to the most bass-ackwards place in the entire world with a civilization more antithetical to ours than any other in existence and try to bring them up to 2021 wokeness. That is the height of folly.
I'll tell you what I think. What country is to the west of Afghanistan? We mentioned it, but I'm asking again.
Oh God, I don't know. There's Pakistan and Iran and Iraq and China's over. They're all over there somewhere.
To the west of Afghanistan.
Why are you putting me on the spot?
I had to look at a map.
I'm just doing this as like a rhetorical.
Everyone should do this. You should look at a map. Look at a map and get familiar with the area right now.
The country directly west of Afghanistan is Iran.
Okay, there we go.
Do you know what country is directly east of Iraq?
Iran.
Yeah. And so when you look at what John Bolton's been saying, that we will be celebrating victory in Tehran by this time next year, and he said that a couple of years ago, it sounds to me like the purpose of Afghanistan is not to create a nation necessarily, but to create a stronghold where we can supply troops and have military infrastructure because they wanted to invade Iran.
Oh, well, that's absolutely true. That was all part of the neocon dominoes falling theory that they put forth after we decided to invade. Okay. That's the part that people forget, I believe, is that we decided to invade Afghanistan and then Iraq before Wolfowitz and the neocons had fully formulated their spreading democracy concept. I believe that the spreading democracy concept came after the urge to invade Afghanistan and Iraq. But this is me going back 20 years and trying to remember the news reports at the time. I was in grad school, so we were talking about this quite a bit. And I just remember Wolfowitz and the neocons formulating the spreading of democracy and the dominoes falling theory after it was already determined by Bush's rhetoric going. He would do this word smash where he would go, Iraq, Al-Qaeda, 9/11, Afghanistan, Saddam Hussein, Iraq, weapons of mass destruction, Afghanistan, Iraq, Saddam Hussein,
terror.
And he would just mash all those words up together without any logical coherence, but he would just say them together in a rhythm in such a way that everyone began to associate all those concepts together. Al-Qaeda, Afghanistan, Saddam Hussein, weapons of mass destruction, Iraq. 9/11. More of this is going to happen. We have to defend ourselves. That was the banging of the war drums at that time. And I believe that the academic infrastructure for all of this, the Wolfowitz-led neocon theory of domino falling and such, my memory, could be wrong, and I was younger then for sure, was that came afterwards and became the justification for this prolonged experience that we had there. That, of course, the military-industrial complex gets behind. They're like, yeah, we can sell more bombs. Beautiful.
I'm really, really impressed by. You got to give it to the United States, the power and the prowess of their armed forces in being able to stage an invasion of a country less than a month after the terror attack that happened, which was the reason for that attack. So it's
we invaded Afghanistan in October of 2001?
October 7th, 2001. So that means 9/11.
Less than a month.
9/11 happens. George W. Bush says, we know who did it. He reaches out to the Taliban and says, hand over Osama bin Laden. They said, give us proof. He says, we don't need proof. We know he's guilty. I'm paraphrasing, but that's like near accurate quote.
Yeah.
And then in less than a month, the U.S. had the resources and the strategic positions to invade a country. I mean, that is wow.
It's
I'm
not a
impressed.
coincidence. They've been at this for decades and decades.
Are you insinuating that 9/11 was an inside job meant to set us on some foreign policy excursion?
No, I think George W. Bush wanted to invade Afghanistan no matter what happened. And after 9/11 happened, he was like, well, we can
Afghanistan or Iraq? I would actually.
Iraq was later.
No,
His dad
I
invaded
know, that's what
Iraq
I'm
in
saying.
the 90s.
So I remember their arguments back then because I'm a little bit older than you guys, and I remember them saying like, "Oh, all this is about George Bush avenging his daddy." And so maybe in his mind, and I don't know, I'm totally speculating. I know people who know this, so maybe I should just ask them. But maybe when he got in office, he's like, "We got to fix this thing in Iraq." And then 9/11 happened, and it was like, "Oh, we'll do this, and then we'll do that."
I'm saying they wanted to invade already. Like they just wanted it. We had they had talked about it. They had the invasion in the 90s. They wanted to go in. The neocons wanted to invade. And I'm saying that we were very quick in our what I mean to say is we waited no time.
Right.
We didn't say like let's have international hearings.
Right.
Let's get a third nation involved to make demands of the Taliban. Let's put international pressure. It was like less than a month. It was like send in the troops.
We didn't go after bin Laden. We set up a nation building.
No.
We did go after.
Oh well,
We did.
yeah. Part of the project.
We
nation
did, but
building
then we
was
let him go.
We let him go to Pakistan
and Bora Bora. But I'll push
They
back
let
on
him
one thing you
go.
said there. They definitely formed an international coalition. They definitely brought in other countries. There definitely was a huge coalition of countries that went into Afghanistan.
I don't mean for invasion. I mean for
verification.
Like, hey, how about before we invade a country, we have council hearings. We make demands. We sanction. Like, it's really interesting that the Taliban said, "Give us proof." Bush said, "We don't need proof. We know he's guilty." And then we're going to war in less than a month. It's like,
that's crazy.
like
Halliburton is ready. Let's get those
exactly.
contracts.
They
Dick
wanted
Cheney's
war.
company.
They wanted the war, and they were like, "We're going for it."
You know what's funny? If you think about the timeline, actually, from 1991 until September 11th, that's the period in time that I call the Pax Americana. That is when we were cashing the peace dividend of the end of the Cold War. There wasn't any obvious international hegemon that was challenging us anywhere. The Soviet Union had fallen. We had gotten so comfortable actually that we had turned our foreign policy attention to the Western Hemisphere. We were engaging with Latin America. We're going to build a free trade area of the Americas, all this stuff. There wasn't any real war or military conflict or clearly defined enemy at all whatsoever from 91 until 2001. So it is a reasonable presumption to make that in that intervening 10 years, all of the military industrial complex guys were like, "Oh, we got to get something here. We got to get something going. We got to get something. What's it going to be? What's it going to be? What's it going to be?"
And then Iraq.
And
I mean, Afghanistan.
Well, we did have
and then Iraq.
Saddam Hussein in the Iraq thing.
Well, we did, but
I mean, there was Kosovo.
He was a boogeyman.
But those are teeny tiny.
know.
Those are teeny tiny little things.
They wanted a 20-year guaranteed no bid contract.
Right.
Resource extraction, the whole thing.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what year was Bush's second election? Was that 2002?
2004.
It was 2004.
Yeah, 2000 he got elected. 2004 was re-election.
2004. Yeah. So by the time he makes that second inaugural and the goal of America is to end tyranny around the world, we'd already been way involved. So that wasn't leading. Right. That's what I mean.
I want to go back to the Iranian Revolution of 1979. This is a little bit before my time. I was born in 79. But I mean, they had this guy, the Shah, and it was like this 2,000-year-old monarchy, and they basically, I think the CIA caused this revolution, to this theocratic what's this? The Ayatollah Khomeini. This now they're this theocratic Muslim, theocracy country. But we basically created that.
Yes, we did.
Why?
I don't know. To make enemies for people in the region.
Soviet
I think.
Union.
But then all of a sudden the world became globalized and internet, and now. Yeah, specifically the Soviet Union.
Is this like the Soviet Union falls and now the U.S. is like, okay, time to clean up the mess we made? Is that what they've been doing?
Well, I mean, that was 1979, the Iranian Revolution. But after the Soviet Union falls, I don't know about cleaning up the mess, but it's like expand the footprint, grow the empire, more bombs, more wars, more money. Expand the remember this is all tied at the same time to neoliberal economics, which is like blow out all the markets, free trade. Let's engage with China. Let's engage with every EU. Let's create the free trade area of the Americas, which was all just about globalize. So it all adds up and stacks up into the globalization theory. This whole thing that we're basically, me and my friends, and maybe you guys are on board now, I don't know, are anti-globalization. And all these things that we're talking about are globalization, about the globalization of American empire, globalization of American trade, American values, American freedoms, American all the things.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.